Hi there, hello there, I'm Clifford Bates, and welcome once again to reading Machiavelli's Discourse. We're still in Book 1, and today we're looking at Chapter 14 of Book 1, which continues the discussion of religion in the Romans, right? So the title is, let's go look at the title over here. It says, "The Romans interpreted the auspices according to necessity, and with prudence made a show of observing religion when forced not to observe it. And if anyone rashly disdained it, they punished him." So therefore, very interesting. Three things here. One is that how they interpreted the auspices. The auspices were what was given to the gods to make signs, to understand what the gods are saying, and they interpreted these things according to what is needed. And with prudence, in other words, with prudence, they made a show of observing religion, particularly when they were not forced to observe it. Okay, that's the other thing. And then finally, the third clause, "And if anyone rashly disdained religion, they punished them." So this is that. Let's go look at chapter 1, paragraph 1 of this. "Not only were the argosies, the foundations, in good part of the ancient religion of the Gentiles, as was discoursed above, but also they were the cause of the well-being of the Roman Republic." Okay, so what is the argosies? The argosies are the oracles, the acts of the oracles. They are the actions of the oracles. In other words, they were the symbolic and physical manifestations that emerged, or words, or actions, or things that were offered as an interpretation. Example of this would, a sign comes up, some things happen. In other words, symbols happen. These must have been by the gods. The gods have, or God, or the gods have caused this, and this is the way they're communicating with you. Okay, these are the argosies in that sense, the auguries, the symbols of divine action. Now, in a lot of ways, this is the thing about this. Christianity, one of the weird things about Christianity, particularly through the okay, I know there's going to be some Christians out there who are going to say, Judeo-Christianity, no such thing. Yes, it is. Christianity emerged from Judaism. The Old Testament, the Torah, and the 5 books, and the remaining, the Tanakh, these are the basis by which the Old Testament, we call it, is the basis of which the Scripture, New Testament, does not replace, but kind of fulfills. Does that mean that the Old Testament is useless? No, it means that these two books are mirrors of each other. Now, that's a whole separate video, we could argue, but what we're doing here is understanding this. Now, Christianity has there is something of Christianity that is, it looks at the pagan world and the auspices as superstitious. In fact, the modern scientific contempt of what the ancients behaved as is more shaped by Christianity than by so-called science, so-called by the philosophy, the knowledge of natural religion, natural things of nature, and reason. In other words, that the modern contempt for superstition is simply a product of Christianity to some degree. I think even Nietzsche would agree with this. As much of liberalism is today just a kind of it's Christianity, without God. So let's continue what he says here. That the Romans really cared about these things. Hence, the Romans took more care of them than of any other order in it, and used them in consular assemblies, in the beginning of enterprises, in leading out armies, in making battles, and in every important action of theirs, civil and military. In other words, they would take augurs. Before they would do anything, they would ask the gods. they would ask the gods. Nor would they ever go to an expedition unless they had persuaded the soldiers that the god promised them victory. Among other auspices, they had in their army certain orders of auguries, whom they called chicken men, and whenever they were ordered to do battle with the enemy, they wished the chicken men to make their auspices. If the chickens ate, they engaged in combat with a good augury. If they did not eat, they abstained from the fight. Nonetheless, when reason showed them a thing they ought to do, notwithstanding that the auspice had been adverse, they did it in any mode. In other words, the rule is that if they ate, the chickens ate, this was a good augury, and they would go to combat, didn't they? But nonetheless, when reason showed them that a thing they ought to do, in other words, when reason showed them a thing that they ought to do, regardless of the auspices, they did it in any mode. But they turned it around with the mean and the modes so aptly that they did not appear that they had done it with disdain for religion. So that's very important. In other words, if reason said something, if reason said this is the right thing to do, again, if you looked at it and it was clear that was what you needed to do, but the August said don't go do it, you did it anyways. But you did it in a way that you changed everything around. You turned it around with means and modes so aptly that they did not appear that they had done it with the stain of religion. So in other words, then they go and rewrite the auguries. Here's an example. One such means was used when the consul Periplus, in the most important fight he had with the Samnites, after which they remained weak and afflicted in everything. When the populace were in his camp in front of the Samnites, and wished to do battle because it appeared to him that victory in the fight was certain, he commanded the chicken men to take their auspices. But when the chickens did not eat, the prince of the chicken men, seeing the army's great disposition and eager to engage in combat, in the opinions of the captain and in all soldiers that they would win, related to the consuls that the auspices went well, so as not to deprive the army of the opportunity of working well. So while Periplus was ordering the squadrons, some of the chicken men said to certain soldiers that the chickens had not eaten. They told it to Spurus Populus, the nephew of the consul. When he related it to the consuls, the latter responded at once that he should try to do his duty well. In other words, he related to the consul. The latter responded that he should try to do his duty well, that as for him and the army, the auspices were good. And if the chicken men had told lies, they would return to his prejudice. In other words, if they lied, then in other words, if we didn't do well, they lied and we'll punish them. So the effect would correspond to the prognostication. He commanded the legates to place the chicken men in front of the fight. When it happened that when going against the enemy, a javelin thrown by a Roman soldier had chance killed the prince of the chicken men. When the consul heard this, he had said that everything was going well, and with the favor of the gods for the death of that liar, the army had been purged of every fault, and of the anger they had assumed against him. And so, by knowing well how to accommodate his plans to the auspices, he took up the policy of fighting without the armies perceiving that they had neglected any part of the orders of the religion. So this favors example of this, right? Again, this is the But this is from Book 10 of Livy, right? This is why, in other words, this is from Book 10. What's interesting about here that Machiavelli is not following the order of, in other words, this is not a commentary on Livy, Discourses on. It's not following the order of Livy's tales. It uses Livy, but uses evidence from Livy, but he uses it for every topic and every issue, in other words, the theme and issues that he wishes to adapt. So therefore, we got this example about this, Palparus and the fight with the Sandamites, and the way that this happened. Right? They were going to go to battle. They did auspice. The king of the chicken men, or the leader of the chicken men, looked at the situation, looked at everything, and said, "Oh God, this is not that. That they want to fight. They want to do it. If I tell them that this is no." They get angry. So he lied. But then when some of the chicken men told the soldiers, or some people in the soldiers told one of the officers that this was not the case, that they were being lied to, there was a problem. He had to show, he couldn't, so he just put the chicken men in front of the battlefield. So when the inevitable happened, they got punished. That if we should do our duty, we should go ahead, and that if the chicken men lied to us, the gods will punish them, and therefore, but when the god punishes them, the soldiers killed the other guy. They killed the chicken men later in that battle, right? A javelin thrown by a Roman soldier had chance killed the prince of the chicken men. Then everything was done right, okay? Nothing was done to destroy the orders of religion, and therefore the gods are pleased, and we will win. Paragraph 3. Appius Pilcher did the contrary in Sicily during the First Punic War. For when he'd wished to fight the Carthaginian army, he had the chicken men take the auspices. And when they related that chickens are not eaten, he said, let's see if they wish to drink. And he had thrown them in the ocean. Then fighting, he'd lost the battle. For this, he was condemned at Rome and populace honored. Not so much because one had won and the other had lost, but as one had acted against the auspices prudently and the other rashly. In other words, Puchler did it rashly. Let's see how they want to drink, right? Nor did this mode of taking auspices tend towards any end other than to make the soldiers go confidently into the fight, from which confidence victory almost always arose. This was used not only by the Romans, but also by foreigners, of which it appears to me I have to bring up an example in the following chapter. So he's going to give a non-Roman example next. So this chapter addresses the question of the auguries, right, and how they're used, and how a general or hard decision maker uses the auguries. And he gives two examples. One of it's prudential use, and one that it's rationally done. Okay? In other words, ignoring the auspices. In other words, you didn't like the auspices, so that how did you prudently take advantage and do what you wanted to do? And the situations are completely different. That it was done by intimidating of the thing. Where here is the case is that the leader himself made the rash ruling of this, and then they lost. Now, if he won, it would have been justified. So in one level, the question then becomes, it's not the question of winning and losing, it's by how prudent he was. Okay? So let's stop here. If you have any comments, questions, or issues, please put them below. This is a brief chapter in that sense, so therefore, we'll kind of make motion to the next chapter. If you've liked it, please hit the like button. Like it, share it on your social media, share it far and wide. It helps with the algorithm. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe. Please encourage others to subscribe. If you didn't like it, you can always thumbs down it, but say why in the comments, so therefore we can benefit from it and maybe learn. If you want to follow me on social media, my social media links are below. If you want to know more about me as a scholar and as a researcher and academic, see my work and stuff like that, you can check the academic social media links below it. And another thing you can do is, if you want to help me to do what I do, through financially in that sense, you can do so through Subscribestar and Patreon, which are, the links are below that. Or you can buy one of my books, the currently available books. So you can do so, that is either by your local bookstore or through an online distributor like Barnes & Noble, Libris, or even Amazon. Or then you can buy through the publisher, order it through the publisher directly. So that's it. We'll see you next time. We'll see you in the next chapter. Have a good day. Bye-bye.